Tulip snakes, also known as flower snakes. They have a power level of 0.5.
There can be a maximum of 12 spawned on one moon. They are most commonly found on the moon Adamants. They take one hit to kill. Their Sigurd's danger level is 1%. The tulip snake will make a flapping sound immediately upon spawning. It has 3 states: roaming, chasing, and clinging. The roaming state begins by the tulip snake alternating back and forth between the furthest reachable node within its 200-meter search width and the closest node to the last one it was at. Similar to most other AIs in the game, its speed in roaming is a fairly slow 4.5 meters per second. In this state, the tulip snake will search for players who enter its line of sight, extending 110 meters, but only 25 degrees in width. The snake will set its destination to the first player in its line of sight and then enter the chasing state, but it will prioritize players with other tulip snakes already on them. Upon entering the chasing state, it's important to note that the snake will only continue pursuing if the target is within 35 meters. The snake will pursue its target at 6 meters per second, but will switch targets at any point if it sees someone with tulip snakes already on them. Its LOS is updated to 100 meters and 30 degrees in width, specifically for the player it is pursuing, and it will begin a timer since last seeing the target if they break LOS. If the line of sight is broken for 3 seconds or more, the tulip snake will begin roaming again. If the tulip snake is in a random range between 12 and 22 meters from the player, it will initiate a leap towards them and make one of 3 random noises. Upon colliding with a player who is not dead, the snake will cling onto them if it is not already clinging. However, it has to wait 1 second since last colliding with a player and 4 seconds since last clinging to a player to do this. The snake cannot cling to a player when they are in the ship, or in some kind of animation with an enemy, like getting eaten by a giant. If a player enters the ship, or one of these animations, the tulip snakes already on him will get off. When the tulip snake begins clinging, the screen shakes, and it is given a random time between 30 and 60 seconds, after which it will let go. Also, the snake will let go and die if the player is damaged by a shovel, or if the player himself swings a shovel. Only 6 tulip snakes can cling to a player at once. Another fun fact is that the code orients the snake's direction differently depending on its position. In 3 of the 6 cling positions, the snake will rotate in sync with the camera, presumably to avoid impeding the player's vision too badly. The other 3 positions rotate with the player's spine. Both of these work together to allow steering of the snakes when they are flying. All tulip snakes clinging to a person follow a driver. The tulip snake who is in position 4 on the player is considered by the game as the main snake, kind of like an alpha, and all the other snakes will follow its behavior, like getting off or flapping. If the main snake begins flapping its wings, all other snakes will flap as well. There has to be at least 2 tulip snakes on the player for the flapping to actually have any lifting effect. The length of time the tulip snakes flap their wings and the time between flaps are both determined by a flap interval. If there is only 1 snake, the interval will be between 0.5 to 4 seconds. If there are multiple, the interval will be between 6 and 15 seconds, 80% of the time, and between 6 and 25 seconds, 20% of the time. A new flap interval is determined every time the snakes start and stop flapping. Shout out to Mater for looking through the code for this video. If you haven't already, please join our Discord and subscribe. Once the tulip snakes have lifted the player off the ground, they behave with almost the exact same physics as a jetpack, and use code from the jetpack to determine movement depending on your weight. While the code of the jetpack is beyond the scope of this video, it is worthy to note that tulip snakes add a random intensity factor to the movement and restrict the jetpack angle to only 60 degrees, limiting your ability to steer after initiating the flight This results in you being unable to aim down, so that you can possibly fall to your death once they stop flapping or let go after 30 to 60 seconds. From what we could find in the code, the snake's letting go of you doesn't seem to be intentional upon reaching a particular height. After ending its clinging state, if outside, the snake will begin the generic roaming method again, but moving at a faster speed of 7 meters per second and flapping its wings, almost like it is running away. The tulip snake will not be searching for players during these 10 seconds, but it will begin normal roaming again after the 10 seconds are over at a speed of 4.5 meters per second. If the snake ends its clinging inside the facility, it will despawn. The tulip snake has a great sense of humor. Therefore, it has a chuckle interval that is initially somewhere between 2 and 15 seconds. After this interval of time is complete, the snake chuckles. However, if it is currently flapping its wings, the interval timer goes down twice as fast. After having a nice chuckle, the snake resets its counter to a random time between 2 and 15 seconds again. Thank you everyone for all the support lately. We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers, and everyone is much appreciated.